crank up the engine. We'll take you to Texas to meet a tractor restoration champion and check out his latest project. Plus, we'll visit the huge Almond Fall Harvest Tractor Auction. So now, let's catch classic tractor fever. Hello and welcome to Classic Tractor Fever. I'm Brian Baxter, ready to take off on another trip around the classic tractor world. So put your tray tables up and fasten your seatbelts, because here we go. Now, you know that the fever for classic tractors is catching for people of all ages, and we found a great example of that in the Lone Star State. Down in Texas, we met a young man still in high school who's making a habit of restoring classic farm tractors and winning some big-time awards along the way. Here's the story. At home, deep in the heart of Texas, Ricky Schilling loves classic tractors of all kinds. And he enjoys restoring and showing off classic tractors so much that his family had to lay down a few guidelines to make sure he doesn't get too carried away with his favorite hobby.
My mom's got a rule for me. I have to have straight A's in school to go to these tractor shows and work on these tractors. And if I don't, I can't do it. It's worked out pretty good. I've kept straight A's and haven't had to miss a show, so I'm doing pretty good.
One tractor in his collection that's received high marks is this 1960 John Deere 435. Ricky restored it himself with a little guidance from his dad, Rick, and a family friend named Royce Bartles. The unique thing about the 435 is that the two-cylinder diesel engine was made by General Motors. Deere was in the middle of creating its new generation of tractors and didn't have the resources to build a diesel engine on its own.
John Deere was in the predicament of they didn't have a diesel tractor in the smaller tractor size, and they needed one to compete. They didn't have the time or the funding to build their own engine, so they went with the 253 Detroit diesel as a component engine. It's a two-stroke engine. It doesn't have the intake valve. It's a diesel. It runs twice as fast as it sounds like it is because it fires out every hit instead of every other one. And it's something different. You don't see a lot of them. They were mainly used in power units and stationary engines, but John Deere needed an engine quick, and this was an engine that they could get their hands on. Some people call them screaming demons. They're just a loud engine. It's fun to play around with this. It's quite fast. It has a 5-speed transmission, and it's just the power steering makes it easy to drive, and it's a really nice riding tractor.
You know, like Ricky said, they call it the screaming demon. I call it, when you really wind it up, a pissed off weed eater.
The 435 shared the same chassis and same features as the Model 430, just slightly adapted to handle the bigger engine. More than 4,600 Model 435s were built, most at the Dubuque, Iowa plant. And they cost around $3,000 depending on the options you ordered.
I said, well, that 435 was a very rare tractor. I said, if you want to do one, a John Deere, let's do a 435. So we started looking. And then he found this one here online, I think, come out of Indiana. Well, the engine was stuck, and transmission, we re-bearinged it and everything. The hard parts, the gears and stuff were good. Had a good clutch in it. So anyway, we just, went through it completely. And all I can say about it, I mean, it made a good little tractor in the end.
It was a Cadillac of tractors. It had all kinds of options. You could order them the way you wanted. As you can see on the tractor, it has heavy-duty fenders, which was an option. When we got the tractor, it didn't have fenders, but they came with clamshell fenders that stuck extremely high above the tires. But I wanted fenders that fit more and they were sleeker. So we found a set of heavy-duty fenders and put them on the tractor. It had power steering. It had a nice dash where you could see all your gauges easily. The steering wheel was large and easy to steer with. The pedals, it had an easy clutch on it. It wasn't hard like some of the other tractors. It had good brakes. It had the brake locking system was really nice. Everything was accessible. You didn't have to take anything apart to do it. You could service a tractor extremely easily. A lot of people have never seen a 435 before, not even know what it is. They think that the Detroit diesel is something different. They don't know anything about it, and it's fun to tell people about it and inform them about how the tractors, producers back in the day would overcome obstacles and do the things that they needed to be in the market.
The Texas teen's restoration of the 435 and his documentation of the entire process was so good, it won him Grand Champion and a $10,000 prize at the annual Dello Tractor Restoration Competition during the National FFA Convention. These types of competitions are a fun way for Ricky to show off his skills.
At our last show, we had 60 tractors that you're competing against, and everybody has gone through these tractors, and everybody knows about them. There's nobody that's not any good at this, and it's just you got to be on your A game, and you got to know the information on these tractors to do well.
The 435 was not Ricky's first restoration or his first prize winner. That honor goes to this 1956 Farmall 200. The 200 was the first tractor of the Farmall number series, replacing the Super C.
In this area, everybody has Super Cs and Cs. There's not a lot of 230s or 200s, and it was something different, and that's the reason that we decided to restore it. It was a fun tractor to do. It had a tricycle front end, and it was something easy and something that wasn't as complicated as a 435. It was a good first project.
I ran across these people that had a 200 that they were going to junk, and I didn't want to see that old iron go to the scrap yard, so I bought the tractor thinking, well, when one of these winters I get around to it, I will restore that tractor, and then after I have it restored, well, I use it as a garden tractor. And then, you know, Ricky got into the FFA and doing the ag mechanics, and he had done the welding projects, and he wanted to do something bigger and better. And so going into these tractor restoration, it's been just another big step.
That tractor wasn't just really rough, but it needed a lot of sheet metal work, and of course we went completely through that tractor to the last bolt. And anyway, little Ricky did very well at this, and I feel like it was a good lesson for him, what he's learned through all of this.
Farmall only built the 200 for 3 years. The tractor is powered by an International C123 4-cylinder gasoline engine.
It's got a 4-speed transmission. It's got hydraulics, a PTO, a tricycle front end. I've completely restored this tractor. I've gone through everything. I've even went through, did all the hydraulics, the engine, transmission, did the lift, and it's pretty much a brand new tractor in an old shell. I like how nice it drives, and it sounds great. It drives like a dream. You can turn on a dime. It runs smooth, it's quiet, and it's a fun thing to take a Saturday drive on.
Although he's still in high school, Ricky is just getting started collecting and restoring classic tractors, and he thinks others his age should try the hobby. He's made good friends, done good work, and there's nothing he'd rather do with his time.
Working on these tractors, it takes up about most of my time that I have. Work on them every day after school, and just anytime I have extra free time. Finding an old one that's grown up in some trees or just doesn't run and getting them running again, and the sound of them coming back to life is just nothing else compares to it. It's an interesting hobby, and it's something to do, and you're really rewarded when you're done with it. It's a lot of fun.
Whether you're an FFA member or a longtime tractor collector, we hope you'll visit our Classic Tractor Fever Facebook page. You'll see photos, updates on new episodes, tractor shows, and tractor auctions. And you can connect with classic tractor collectors around the USA. So find and like the Classic Tractor Fever and Classic Garden Tractor Fever pages on Facebook.